when the merge happened, it depends on who you ask how that all, right? Because everybody tells history their way. The Methodist Church at the time was, I don't know how many million strong, and the EUB was, I think, less than a million. So there was a lot of swallowing up, if you will, that happened in that experience because dominant culture dominates, right? Like it's what we can look at in the church or outside of. There were some sticking points. One of the sticking points is that the Evangelical United Brethren had never been segregated. The Methodist Church at the time, because of how they had remerged back in the 30s, the Methodist Episcopal South broke off from the Methodist Episcopal Church prior to the Civil War over the rights to own slaves. There was a bishop in the South who owned slaves, and the North censored, and the South didn't like that, and so they said, we're going to take our toys and do our own thing. And so they did. But when they remerged back in the 30s, it was with the concession of what was a central jurisdiction in the United States, that typically the polity structure, the governance of the United Methodist Church from a global standpoint is that you have central jurisdictions around the world, not in the United States. The United States is divided up geographically, but then globally you have the Philippines Conference, and you have various conferences throughout the continent of Africa. You have a German conference and other various conferences throughout Europe and Asia. And so in the United States, the central jurisdiction that was formed was strictly for the oversight of the Black Methodist churches, because the Southern Episcopal would not agree to come in under a polity that allowed for them to be integrated fully from a geographical standpoint. So in '68, when that merge happened, the Brethren, the Evangelical United Brethren branch, had never been segregated. They had always had full integration of how stuff was overseen and done. So they insisted in '68 that that had to be dissolved. And so that was one of the big sticking points that sticks out in my mind of that particular merge, was that there would be no more central jurisdiction, that the United Methodist Church would have all jurisdictions managed from a geographical standpoint, not a race standpoint.